friends. If you are like me, you're trying hard not to drown in the holiday crazy, but it can be so hard to swim against the current when you're in the thick of it. So I want to share with you some ideas for creating some restful, meaningful moments for yourself and for the people that you care about most. Now, of course, choosing new rhythms for the holidays may mean letting go of some things that you have always thought are have-to-dos. But I have found, as I've incorporated some new routines and practices that around the things that are most meaningful to me, that I've come to really look forward to the holiday season. And I no longer miss the things I once stressed over. So for me, it's come down to learning how to slow down, to linger, and to savor. So I want to share with you over these next 3 weeks 3 ideas that have brought me so much joy over the holidays, and maybe they'll work for you, or maybe they'll inspire you to come up with some ideas of your own. And if you do, please comment. Please share your comments with me as this month unfolds. So the first idea is called the holiday shelf. And here is my holiday shelf. I have so much fun remaking this space in my home every year. It's really just a space I've cleared for the books that I love to see, look at, hold, touch, and read during the holiday season and even beyond. And I find it so much easier than digging through to find titles that I love. And it's an inviting place I look forward to going, and everything's in one place. So there are 3 reasons in general that I read, that I think people read. We read for delight, for the pure pleasure and relaxation of sitting down with a good book. We read aloud to our children, maybe to our spouse or to a parent or to a close friend. And we read for growth so that we can discover new things about ourselves or expand the way that we think. So on my holiday shelf, I have some recommendations for you, some books from each of those categories that I want to share. So in the area of reading for delight, I have this book called A Christmas Box, or The Christmas Box by Richard Paul Evans. Maybe you know it. It's the first in a series, a 3-book series of stories. It's just a wonderful, cozy fireside read. He's a great storyteller, and I love to read this and curl up with it in the holidays. And I have some old titles that I love. I'm very drawn to old books and old stories. And this is one of my favorite authors from the early 1900s, Henry Van Dyke. And these are 2 of his titles, The Other Wise Man and The Lost Boy. The Lost Boy was written in 1913, and it is still such a captivating story that I love. And finally, oh, there goes my little angel. She likes to know what I read. I have this book, Christmas Joy. If you have anything by Susan Branch, you know what a delight it is to just feast your eyes on this. I mean, like, look at the artwork. I mean, it's just awesome. And it is just a book of recipes and holiday traditions and anecdotes, and I just love to feast my eyes on this every Christmas time. So those are some books that you can read just for delight or for pleasure. Now, when it comes to reading aloud, that's kind of a sweet spot for me because I've always loved to do that with my children. And I love to go to all sorts of books for that. One of my favorite December memories was climbing up in the top bunk with my oldest son one December and reading A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens in my very best English Cockney accent. And I love any of the Charles Dickens stories for Christmas. They're just wonderful. Another of the classics that I love is O. Henry, especially The Gift of the Magi. I'll never forget the faces of my kids around the table when we got to the surprise at the end of that wonderful story. So those are some classics. Of course, you cannot go wrong with The Nutcracker. I love that story. Now here is a title that's a little bit older. You may not know about it, it's called The Bird's Christmas Carol, and it's by Kate Douglas Wiggin, and it is just a really tender, beautiful story of Christmas. So let's see, what else is on my list? Oh, this one I love for our younger kiddos. This is The Holly and the Ivy, which is a classic story, but I love this beautiful copy that I have. The story is by Rumer Godden, but one of my favorite artists does the illustrations, Barbara Cooney, and it's just beautiful to look at, beautiful to read. So those are some of my favorite read-alouds. Oh, there's one more. There's a lot more, but I'm just giving you some. This book I found years ago in an old bookstore. It's called A Certain Small Shepherd, and it's by Rebecca Caudill, but the illustrations are beautiful by William Penet Dubois, and it's just an old, just a darling book to read at Christmas time with your children. Certain Small Shepherd. And in the category of reading for growth, here's what I go to every year. This is a lesser known title by Max Lucado called Cosmic Christmas. And I have this wonderful copy of it that has these gorgeous drawings in the book and illustrations. And I love this story. This is a wonderful story. You can read this aloud too. It's very short, but it is kind of a fantastical account that takes place pre-Christmas in the spiritual realm. So it's what's leading up to the coming of Jesus. So I love that one. Let's see what else I've got for you. Oh, if you're a poetry buff, I have to share my very favorite, which is Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. But this beautiful, beautiful book is illustrated by Susan Jeffers, and I just love reading this poem to myself all the time, but it's really wonderful at Christmas time too. And finally, I will share with you my very favorite book for personal growth, and that is The Greatest Gift by Ann Voskamp. Maybe you know it. This is a book I'm going to talk about more next week, but it's a wonderful Advent devotional that reaches all the way back in the lineage of Jesus and takes you through history up to his coming. And I just love this book. I get different things out of it every single year. And what I want you to know about this book is, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I'm not going to take it down because I'll knock everything off my shelf, but it's this beautiful, gorgeous, kind of coffee table size book that Ann Voskamp has created called Unwrapping the Greatest Gift. And it is designed to accompany this book, but it's for your children, for your whole family, and it's beautiful, beautifully illustrated, and it has questions that you all can talk about and share, and even something that you do with the questions in creating a Jessie tree for your family. So there you have it, the holiday shelf, and you don't really even need to have a shelf, just a place where you can take a slow afternoon to arrange the books that you love in a very beautiful and inviting way. And of course, a comfy chair or a couch to sink down into and sink into reading, because yes, you can go against the holiday grain and read. Now, stay tuned, because I'll be back next week with another idea for intentionally using your holiday season to deepen your relationships. And please comment here if you are inspired by the holiday shelf.